What's good? Yes, I got the flower in my hair. Today's my daughter's birthday. She put the flower there, so I'm rocking it. What?
The ocean whispered calm, but something was off. The sun poured down like any perfect day, yet it felt like it was morning. And just beneath the shimmering waters of Costa Rica's coast, a soul was slipping away quietly, tragically, and completely alone. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, a name that lit up a generation. The beloved Theo from The Cosby Show, the heartbeat of a cultural era. A man who once brought joy into millions of homes, now gasping for air beneath an uncaring sea. No spotlight, no laughter, no applause. Just the crushing weight of silence and the desperate fight of a man whose time wasn't supposed to be up. Witnesses remember him swimming, smiling, until it all changed in an instant. A rogue wave, violent, sudden, merciless, pulled him under like it had been waiting. He fought to live, kicking, screaming, clawing at survival, but the ocean doesn't listen. And when it was over, there was nothing but eerie silence. They dragged his body out of the water, not in a frenzy, but in stillness. His face was peaceful, too peaceful, his skin cold, and according to the coroner, his lungs were heavy with seawater. He hadn't passed out and drifted off. He was awake. He drowned, fully aware, fighting, dying, alone. Now the world's asking, why wasn't help nearby? How did no one reach him in time? Was it just nature's cruelty? Or is something far more sinister hiding in plain sight? This wasn't just the death of a man, this was the silencing of a voice that once inspired millions. And in the hospital, as the news was confirmed, his mother, barely standing, could only whisper through trembling lips, "My baby, why didn't anyone save him?" What happened that day was darker than anyone could have imagined. The sun was beaming, the ocean sparkled, and families laughed along the shore. But behind the postcard-perfect paradise of Costa Rica, death was already moving. Quiet, fast, invidious. Isibil, a storm was brewing beneath those gentle waves, and in its grasp was a man everyone thought they'd never lose. Malcolm-Jamal Warner. For decades, his face meant family. His laugh meant comfort. His presence brought people together. But that afternoon, none of that mattered. There were no cameras, no scripts, just water and the cruelest twist of fate imaginable. He'd gone into the water alone, a private moment of peace. Some witnesses said he looked free, like the ocean was healing him. But then came the shift. A violent undertow, the kind that gives no warning, pulled him far from the shoreline. In seconds, the calm was gone. One bystander later recalled, "There was a strange sound like a choke or shout. By the time we turned, he was just gone." No lifeguards, no flotation device, no trained responders, only panic. People screamed, some froze, someone dialed for help, but help didn't come fast enough. When they recovered him, everything had changed. The sky had dimmed, clouds moved in, his body floated lifeless, his expression hauntingly still. But what the autopsy revealed next sent chills through the investigation. Over 2 liters of seawater in his lungs. That meant he was fully alert during the early stages of drowning. He had been conscious, suffering every second, struggling, gasping, hoping while nobody noticed. Think about that. A man who once gave us his voice, now rendered speechless beneath the sea. A fighter, a legend, slowly fading into silence while the world kept turning. Investigators noted scratches along his arms, the mark of a frantic swimmer, bruises on his chest, likely from being tossed into sharp rocks beneath the surface. One forensic diver said it looked like he refused to surrender right until the moment his body couldn't fight anymore. And then came the discovery that shattered everything. His phone, recovered from his zipped-up beach bag, had an unsent message in his drafts. It read, "This place is beautiful. I feel at peace here, like something heavy is finally lifting." Was it foreshadowing? A strange goodbye? Or something deeper? You tell me, but why was he out there alone? Just 3 days before the tragedy, Malcolm had landed in Costa Rica. Close friends say he wasn't himself lately. He was craving silence, rejecting press interviews, turning down a high-paying podcast deal, even ghosting industry friends. "I need to disappear for a while," he reportedly told one confidant. Some say he was fighting a storm inside, depression. Others claim he was prepping something powerful. All a raw, unfiltered documentary on mental health in the Black community. But now all that remains is an aching silence. No film, no comeback, just questions that cut deeper by the hour. The moment the news broke, the internet shattered. "Please tell me this isn't true. This can't be happening. My heart just broke." And then a tweet that gutted fans everywhere. Malcolm-Jamal Warner died alone in the ocean while the world kept scrolling. This wasn't just a tragedy. This was abandonment. Back at the hospital, when Malcolm's body arrived, staff froze. One nurse reportedly whispered, "No, not him, not Theo." But nothing compared to what came next. The arrival of Malcolm's mother. Her eyes swollen, voice trembling, she stepped into the emergency wing like time itself had stopped. "Where is my baby?" she asked. "Where is my shining star?" They pulled back the sheet and she collapsed. No scream, no hysteria, just a sound. Soft, hollow, soul-breaking. The sound of a mother realizing her son was truly gone. He loved the water. She wept. Why didn't someone help him? He was just swimming. In that moment, a million hearts shattered. This wasn't just about a celebrity death. It was the loss of a soul who had lived with humility, who carried the weight of fame without ever letting it break him. A man who gave the world his laughter and received only silence in return. Malcolm wasn't just a sitcom star. He was a symbol of resilience, of talent without scandal, of someone who survived fame and still stood with integrity. But the ocean didn't care, and the questions were only getting darker. Authorities in Costa Rica were quick to call it an accidental drowning. Case closed. But fans, friends, even his family aren't buying it. Why weren't there lifeguards on duty? Why wasn't he warned about the deadly rip currents? Why was there no emergency plan in place at a luxury resort? And then came the twist nobody was ready for. Disappear, or we'll make it happen. Was he involved in something he couldn't escape? Had he come to Costa Rica to hide or to find peace before facing something worse? There are now whispers that someone may have been following him, watching him, waiting. With the autopsy confirming he fought hard to survive, fans are no longer buying the narrative of a simple drowning. They're demanding an investigation, they're demanding accountability, they're demanding truth. Because this wasn't a peaceful passing, it was something else. A death cloaked in shadows where the real killer may not have been the waves, but what came before them. As millions stream old Cosby Show episodes and tributes, candles flicker in windows across the globe, emotions boil. But one question now refuses to fade. Why did no one save him? Inside that emergency room, the air had changed. Suffocating, silent. Every tick of the clock was a countdown. Every footstep felt like it echoed forever. Doctors rushed around Malcolm's body, machines blinking wildly, trying to make sense of the chaos. But behind those beeps and beeps, something else was happening, something hidden, something no one saw coming. One nurse whispered later, "He came in gasping, but it didn't feel like drowning. Something else was attacking him." Outside, the world had already exploded. Phones buzzed nonstop. Headlines blared. Fans begged for someone to say it wasn't true. Hashtags like Theo Forever and Justice. Malcolm lit up timelines, but beneath all that noise was a raw, painful truth. At 5:22 p.m., the team gave up. CPR stopped. Code Blue faded into flatline. And just like that, Malcolm-Jamal Warner, only 54 years old, was gone. Or so it seemed. The true horror arrived hours later. The full autopsy report dropped like a sledgehammer. Inside his lungs, not just seawater, but blackened residue. Toxic, chemical, lethal. Experts identified it as a compound often found in low-quality pool cleaning chemicals, the kind used in outdated filtration systems or worse, left to rot in unclean water tanks. This wasn't just drowning, this was chemical asphyxiation. Slow, brutal, silent. Forensics were stunned. How had this gotten into his system? Was it negligence by the resort? A broken filter? A contaminated tank? Or had someone deliberately tainted the water? And then, total silence. No comment from the resort, no safety report, no public apology, just boarded up windows, canceled bookings, and PR teams going into hiding. But the bombshell wasn't done dropping. Leaked security footage from the resort's pool area surfaced online. In the grainy clip, Malcolm is seen sitting poolside, calm, thoughtful, sipping from a water bottle. He stands, walks to the edge, dives in, then glitch. The footage skips a few seconds. Suddenly, he resurfaces in distress, coughing violently, clawing at the pool edge, eyes wide with panic. His body jerks. He grabs his chest. He tries to climb out, but collapses. And then he's gone beneath the water. The clip ends, but the nightmare is just getting started. That surveillance video didn't just go viral, it exploded. Over 92 million views in just 6 hours. Viewers were left shattered. Comments poured in like a flood, sobbing emojis, prayers, and disbelief wrapped in heartbreak. "I grew up watching him," one post read. "It's like losing a part of my own childhood." But the deeper they looked, the darker it got. An anonymous resort employee came forward, their voice trembling as they told reporters the truth management wanted buried. The pool, It had been a known hazard for weeks. Guests had filed reports: burning eyes, odd smells, trouble breathing after even a few laps. Maintenance crews begged for a shutdown, but upper management refused. Money came first, the whistleblower confessed. They didn't want to lose profits during peak season. Malcolm wasn't the first to get sick. He was just the first to die. Now, a criminal case is underway. Prosecutors are preparing to hit the resort with gross negligence, and behind closed doors, there's even talk of second-degree manslaughter. And as that legal storm brews, Malcolm's body made its journey home, covered not just in a flag, but in the same silence that claimed his life. The cast of The Cosby Show released a statement just after midnight. Malcolm wasn't just Theo. He was our family, our joy, our light. What happened is unforgivable. We stand with his mother. We stand for the truth. But nothing pierced hearts more than the voice message Malcolm had quietly recorded 2 nights before his death. It wasn't meant for the world. It was a private note to a friend. "I'm finally at peace, man," Malcolm says calmly. "This trip, this place, I feel like I can breathe again." That line, "I can breathe again," haunted everyone, because in the end, he couldn't. Memorials sprang up across the world. Vigils were held in LA, Brooklyn, Chicago. Murals lit up walls in London, Johannesburg. People gathered outside his childhood home with candles and tears, whispering, "Not Malcolm, not like this." And what made it worse? He had plans, something beautiful. Malcolm had been secretly writing a memoir, one that would tell his story unfiltered. The life of a child star who never spiraled, a man who survived fame, who wanted to help others do the same. The title, Breathe Again. But now that book will never be finished. That voice will never speak again. That light has been stolen, not by time, but by silence. And millions feel it like a blade to the chest. The pain is too raw, too personal, too real. Stay with us, because as this storm of grief turns to fury, a new witness has come forward. And what they reveal could change everything. Because just when the world tried to move forward to mourn and heal, the official autopsy was released to the public, and what it said shattered everything. Water in Malcolm-Jamal Warner's lungs was expected. But what medical examiners also found was something no one had even imagined. A rare neuroparalytic compound, one that stops muscle movement, stops vocal cords, freezes the body. He didn't just drown, he was trapped inside his body, fully awake, fully conscious, unable to scream, move, or swim as the water filled his lungs. It was a slow, calculated, silent murder. Everything shifted. What once felt like a heartbreaking accident now felt like a cover-up, like someone wanted this buried, like someone planned this. Justice formal. Theo deserved better. He was silenced. Fans flooded the internet with old clips. Malcolm laughing, speaking, living. Every smile now felt like a final goodbye. Something sacred, stolen. Then another bombshell dropped. New surveillance footage from a marina security camera was leaked. Malcolm, calm, walking along a dock, speaking on the phone, but then a figure, obscured, following him. Malcolm turns, says something, and then the feed cuts out manually. Exactly 47 minutes before his body was found, authorities confirmed that cut wasn't a glitch. It was deliberate. Now the question wasn't if this was foul play. It was who wanted him gone and why. And the whispers turned into full-blown storms. Insiders revealed Malcolm had been funding a high-risk documentary, a raw expose targeting systemic abuse in the entertainment industry. Not gossip, not rumors, names, real names, big ones, network heads, producers, celebrities who still hold power today. People he trusted begged him to stop. He refused. He believed in the truth. But in Hollywood, truth can be fatal. And then the erasure began. His phone, gone. His laptop, factory reset. His documentary footage vanished. Only one piece survived, an old hard drive he had gifted to a sound engineer days before flying out. On it, one last clip. Malcolm, calm, serious, looking directly at the camera. "If anything happens to me, just know it wasn't an accident. I love life, I'm not depressed, but I love the truth more. And if telling it makes me a target, then so be it." The internet stopped. That moment, that single clip, lit a fire that refused to die. Candlelight vigils turned into protests. Studio lots were surrounded. Signs read, "Tell the truth for Theo, and he warned us." Every co-star was bombarded. Every network executive went silent. Not one issued a public tribute. Not one posted a condolence. Just static. And static often hides guilt. And Malcolm's mother, She didn't just break down at the memorial, she broke the world's heart into pieces. With trembling hands and fire in her voice, she whispered, "They buried more than a man. They buried the truth, but I will be his voice. I will be the noise he can't silence." And that cry, it sparked a storm. Millions signed petitions overnight. Hollywood directors offered to revive Malcolm's unfinished vision. Even the celebrities who once bit their tongues suddenly found the courage to speak, and what they revealed was just the surface of a much deeper, darker ocean. But the ache, it stays. No justice can rewrite his final breath. No investigation can erase the terror of a man trapped in his body, sinking into silence while the world watched. One post read, "Theo Huxtable raised a generation. Malcolm saved us with his smile, and now they've stolen him from us." Another simply said, "This wasn't death. This was execution, and it won't be forgotten." Because here's the brutal truth. Malcolm's voice was meant to vanish quietly. Instead, it's roaring louder than ever. He's no longer just a sitcom star. He's a symbol of truth, of pain, of the price of being honest in a world built on secrets. Rest in power, Malcolm-Jamal Warner. You were silenced, but you started a movement, and now the world can't unhear your scream. So before you scroll, pause. Ask yourself this: was it an accident? Was it neglect? Or was it a message sent by those who wanted him quiet forever? Because this wasn't just the fall of Theo, it was the unraveling of a soul crushed beneath fame, trauma, and a system that didn't care. The leaked autopsy files, the friends now breaking their silence, the warning signs ignored, dismissed, forgotten. They all point to one horrific conclusion. This wasn't a simple tragedy. This was a slow, public erasure, and we let it happen. If this story shook you, if you felt that lump in your throat when you heard how he was found alone, broken with lungs full of pain, don't just scroll. Share this. Say his name. Let Hollywood know you can't use someone up and throw them away. Not anymore. Drop if your childhood just shattered. Drop if you're praying for justice. Drop it if you're ready to expose the truth, and hit that subscribe button because we're not done yet. We've got more lies to destroy, more silence to rip open, and more names to say before they vanish. Because behind every red carpet smile, there's a hidden scream the world refuses to